Joaquin Niemann wins for the 5th time on the LIV Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry's our guy who sends me LIV stats every week.
I love that you get LIV stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey come off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So, and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So, to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great, because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? When did I don't remember that one.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets, I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Top of the hour power right here on the early line. It's a Monday. It's a glorious Monday. We got a lot to look forward to this week. Major League Baseball full slate on a Monday, as we told you already at the end of the week, Joe. Preseason football action Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as we get one step closer to opening day, September 4th in Philadelphia on a Thursday night between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and also in the month of August, as we said, 3 weeks away from college football. You absolutely have to love that. We also, Joe, talked about the hot topics like Micah Parsons. Hey, man, one of the best players in this sport. What's taking this so long? Why can't I get paid like everybody else? And I said, Joe, he might as well be an NBA player, because when they're eligible, they just get a contract that's laid out for massive money and they sign it. How about this? Shams Charania over the weekend, breaking news. Los Angeles Lakers All-Star Luka Doncic has signed a 3-year, $165 million maximum contract extension with the franchise with a player option for 2028. It's not hard. He's a good player. You pay him a lot of money. He plays good for your team. Hello, Jerry Jones.
It feels like it's cheap, too, for Luka, who seems kind of committed here to being in shape, too, for the first time. Maybe he finally is getting it here. I remember seeing him on the Yankee broadcast, last week, with Michael Kay there, and I'm like, is that Don? Like, he looks like he lost 30 pounds, like he all buffed, and so I'm like, wow, could this be a new era for Luka and the Lakers? They apparently think so, because they just wrote him a check for an extension, and we'll be having another conversation, I think, in another 2 years about another Luka extension, who is probably going to be, I don't know, $400 or $500 million, something along those lines. It's going to be absolutely obnoxious.
It will be. It's going to be interesting to see him in shape, because that doesn't mean he's going to be a better basketball player who's already one of the best in the NBA. But if it does make him more agile and healthier for the season, that's great. But I wonder if it affects him at all. Like, just being that big body out there, posting people up. You see, he averaged about 30 points a game last year. Or that's his career, not even last year. 9 rebounds, almost 8 assists, 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA first team, deserving of that contract, and rightfully so. We'll see where they take it here as we go with the Los Angeles Lakers. But a big deal for Luka, and as we wait here on a big deal possibly for Micah Parsons. This point in the show, Joe, we like to reach out to the public and ask them a question on how they feel a certain situation is going to go. How about this Fade the Public poll? Let's get down to business, people. Micah Parsons. The question we asked today on our Fade the Public poll at SportsGrid, if you want to follow along and also give your vote. Will the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons? There's only two options. Yes and a no. There's no maybe out here. And it's pretty decisive, and rightfully so, at 81% of the public voting on a no that Micah Parsons will not be traded from the Dallas Cowboys. How do you feel about that poll, Joe, with the 80%? And how do you feel about Micah Parsons' possibilities of being traded from the Dallas Cowboys?
We know what the playbook is for Jerry Jones, and he is following it to a T, just like he has done with every other superstar that he's had on this team that required a new contract. And there is nothing simple and easy about it, especially the higher the profile player. It seems like the more we get Jerry in front of the cameras here, rambling on about who knows what, but the reality is this job will get done. This contract will get done. It ain't going to happen tomorrow, but it will happen at some point. So I agree with the public. I don't see Jerry trading a guy at 27 years old, about to enter his prime in one of the most important positions on a football team, a generational talent. Don't see that happening here.
Well, and the question I want to ask you too, Joe, is because sometimes it gets, convoluted. Like, what are we waiting on? It can't be about money, because we understand that he will be the highest paid player in the sport defensively in its history. Do you remember when it was, I think it was Adolfo Mensa, the general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, when Justin Jefferson was up for a contract? He took the podium and goes, he's going to make more money than any wide receivers ever made in the NFL. We understand that. So, they had the hard parts out of the way. And it feels like the hard part is out of the way for the Dallas Cowboys. Are these escalator clauses? Is this length of contract? Is this, if I get injured, I want all my money? Or if you get injured, you get half of your money? It cannot be about you're going to be the highest paid player in the sport here defensively, and I don't think you're worth that much, as Jerry Jones might say. I don't think that's the negotiation. Is it length? What is holding up this deal that we thought we had an agreement to between the two parties back in March?
Principle. That's what it's all about. It's principle, because you can't set precedent. And Jerry Jones knows this. And all he wants to do is make it known, especially to Micah Parsons and others, that, we're just not going to give you what you think you're worth. We simply because, tell me this, Donnie, what are the chances of them franchise tagging him? Maybe once, if not twice coming. You know what I'm saying? So Jerry knows leverage. He understands the situation, and he knows that Micah thinks he's worth $1 trillion. But the reality is, Jones is a businessman. He is. He'll come to an agreement, but it'll be on Jerry's terms, not necessarily Micah's.
Again, you're at camp, you're in Oxnard, a little bit cooler, obviously, than, maybe having a training camp in Dallas. That's why they get away. But also, they're a global brand. So wherever they go, they're a star, like Notre Dame, right? We're going to play in Ireland. We're going to play in Florida. We're going to play in Tennessee. They always draw a big crowd. And he loves to feed off that crowd. But it's also an interesting part where usually the crowds just love Jerry Jones because he is a celebrity. I've been to tons of Philadelphia Eagle Dallas Cowboy games, Sunday afternoon games, Monday Night Football games, monster games, you guessed it. And his box used to be right next to where I used to sit. And even the Eagles fans would give him a hard time, but they still wanted his autograph. He's a mega superstar, and he loves the microphone. I even saw somebody ask a poll question, do you think Jerry Jones would rather win a Super Bowl next year, but he would have to give up his press abilities of giving press conferences? And you feel he wants to win a Super Bowl. No way. No way would he give up the radio, give up television, give up hey, I'm going to walk down to the locker room or show up on the sideline in the middle of a game. He loves that concept of it. But doesn't he know, Joe, to the detriment of his team? Not because you want to make more money because you're more visible and you can't pay for that type of exposure you get. But if he just signed his players sooner, over the past 20 years, he would probably have multiple Super Bowls. Talent was never the question on the Cowboys. It was leadership, and it was also, can we get an extra player or two that can put us over the top? But, oh, no, now we can't afford these guys.
Yeah, well, this is the problem. And don't forget, with Jerry, it's the most successful Cowboys era was one in which Jerry was told to get out of the locker room and leave the players alone, and I'll handle it. And ever since that time, it's been all Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. And guess what? Yeah, not working out. I don't recall these issues back in the Aikman and Michael Irving days. And he tried to do it with Emmitt Smith. Remember how well that worked out? You think he would have learned his lesson, right? You think he would have learned his lesson when the team was like, you sign him and get him here, otherwise we're going to get killed. And sure enough, Emmitt Smith is back by game 3. This is who Jerry is. And at 185 years old, he's not changing his ways now, Donnie, for anybody, including Micah Parsons.
Yeah, that was a huge deal back in the 1990s. Like, Emmitt Smith was the running back. He wanted more money. And you want to talk about how a holdout goes perfectly for you? You were a Super Bowl team. You opened the season 0-2 without Emmitt. Like, I better get the guy and sign him to what he wants. They do that. What do they do that season, Joe? Go on to win a Super Bowl. But also in that Aikman, the triplets era, like, Jimmy Johnson was a genius as a general manager, de facto head coach. Can you imagine your owners like, we're going to win so many Super Bowls and have so much fun, but my goodness, if they give Jerry more credit than maybe Jimmy or vice versa, that gets the ownership group upset, which was Jerry Jones. You couldn't live happily with winning a Super Bowl probably every 3 years with Jimmy Johnson, which was what's going to take place. Kicking that guy, I'm like, it's not him. It wants to be me. Like, no, nobody liked the move of getting rid of a Herschel Walker, but Jimmy Johnson goes, you know what? Watch how this plays out. I'm an unbelievable talent evaluator. I did this at the University of Miami. I'll do it here. And they were on their way to probably winning 5 out of 6. I got to get rid of that guy. It just doesn't work out. Look at these topics on the early line, man. We just keep rolling. We'll be right back.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball on a Monday. Get ready, Joe. In about a month, like, we have full NFL, slates on the weekends and Monday Night Football. Are people going to be as energized for a Major League Baseball slate? Maybe not necessarily, but right now, it seems like to me the only game in town. Well, there's the WNBA. They're having some fun out here as we wait for Caitlin Clark to get back. But we got some big games this week I should talk about, and includes that Central Division where teams looking up at the Milwaukee Brewers. There's 2 of them right now. It's the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago Cubs. Lodolo, the lefty, will be on the mound today, taking on Michael Soroka, the right-handed pitcher for the Cubs. 9:05, 9:06 on the rotation, an 8:05 start. A heavy favorite for the Cubs overnight, Joe. -155. So they're gone. minus 138s, minus 142s, minus 140s in the sports landscape right now, and a total that's listed at 7.5. The Cubbies looking to try to track down the Brewers. The Reds trying to hang on and maybe make the playoffs here. Big game tonight.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate situation what happened at Bristol Motor Speedway, because yesterday was supposed to be an off day for both the Reds and the Atlanta Braves. And instead, they had to stay there and continue to play that game. And now the Braves and Cincinnati have to, no rest, rolling right into new series here. And the Reds are going to take on a Cubs team. And Lodolo has been fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like the spot here for the Reds, and I don't like the spot and the matchup for Lodolo. The Cubs have actually hit lefties pretty well this season here, and with the lineup intact, it's kind of hard for me not to look towards the Cubs getting it done, because the Reds, that's I don't like the fact that they didn't get that day off. I think the situation calls for the Cubs at home.
Look, I do agree that line has gotten cheaper here from the 155s overnight. Let's just call it a minus 140 price. But you still also, like you said exactly, they hit the nail on the head. In Major League Baseball, it's not really about the team itself most of the time. It's really the pitcher that's on the mound. Say, okay, I'm going to bet that pitcher, and we'll see if he can, get some hits for him and back him up. But the fact that Lodolo, coming into this game is that much still of an underdog to Michael Soroka, that surely sends up that flag. Oh, it's easy to take the Reds. Boy, I'll take that plus 125 price. Easy, file it away. And I wonder why that is a minus 125 price. Because you're right. You had that exhausting weekend for them, which was a late Saturday night. You had to stay in town an extra night. Who knows what the accommodations were that they had. Then you had to get out of town. You're going to play the Cubs, who, again, this game is on the road. The Cubs were at home, so they don't have to go anywhere, staying in their beds at the same time. So we'll see how that one plays out today. But Lodolo is the better pitcher. Let's head out to the West Coast here. 10-10 start tonight, Joe. 9:09, 9:10 on the rotation. It's St. Louis and Los Angeles. That's the Dodgers. It's Sonny Gray versus Tyler Glasnow. Heavy favorite overnight, minus 170s or so. Those are gone. Much higher price points right now. Minus 188s, minus 194s, minus 195s, and a total between 8 to 8.5 on where you're shopping at tonight. So taking a look at this game, hey, it's going to take place. Gray, maybe. Glasnow, who you got?
Yeah, that's not a great situation for St. Louis, who is pretty much punted on the season at this point because they're playing for the future. I mean, who are we kidding? But Glasnow now and LA. Nice shutout yesterday and a bounce back spot against Tampa. It's kind of hard, Donnie. You got these teams on the West Coast coming back home for a game. Their first game, don't have a day off. So there's been a lot of travel here for the Dodgers. Usually I like to fade those teams that first game back off a long road trip. But in this spot, Sonny Gray can't be trusted on the road. He's a much better pitcher at Busch Stadium here. I think the Dodgers, who have been much better at home than on the road, yeah, I mean, I'm not a big believer in laying a 1.5 with a home team that probably will only get 8 at bats. But I think the Dodgers will get the best of the Cardinals in this one in a big way.
Glasnow fighting back from off the IL. He's got a couple starts under his belt. His first start back against Milwaukee, 5 innings pitched, no earned runs, was very good and 5 strikeouts. The following time, he took on Milwaukee again, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and 6 strikeouts. The start after that, Joe, 7 innings pitched against the Twins, 12 strikeouts and 1 earned run. But did get lumped up a little bit in his last start on the road against Cincinnati. 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 5 walks, and only 3 strikeouts. So he also is looking for a bounce-back performance. And those last 2 performances at home, 13 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, and 18 strikeouts in those 2 performances here for Glasnow. Sonny Gray is always an interesting one to me, too, because you know the pedigree of the name. He's a good pitcher. Do you know his last 45 days, he's got a 5.40 ERA? But his xFIP is so good at 2.60. So something has to give tonight. Is it the eye test of the ERA, or is it the analytics who absolutely love Sonny Gray, and which one holds up? That's why we're seeing that total across the board at 8. Let's take a look at Arizona here. Basically dead in the water at this point. Not really going to chase down the Dodgers or the Padres, or maybe even the San Francisco Giants. But Sears, the lefty, will be on the mound tonight for the Padres, going up against Brandon Pfaadt. 9:07, 9:08 on the rotation, a 9:40 start tonight. The total listed at 9.5. The favorite, of course, it's going to be San Diego. Sears on the mound, used to pitching for Sacramento/Oakland, now on the mound for the Padres.
Yeah, no, it's and the Padres need to keep winning because they are coming for the Dodgers, at least what we expect them to do. In the meantime, Arizona finally has put a winning streak together, a couple of back-to-back wins against the Athletics after losing that first one. It was a 7-game losing streak that they finally snapped. They've put it together here, starting to see the bats again come to life now that the trade deadline has come and gone. Now they're settling in here. I think it's an over. Brendan Pfaadt cannot be trusted. And listen, Sears has been good, but new team, first spot, I like the chances of us getting double-digit runs in this game.
I think you're right about that, too, because you look at Brandon Pfaadt. He had a 3-game stretch. It's like, hey, is this guy really bouncing back? July 9th, 18th, and 23rd. All quality starts. 8 innings, 7 innings, and 5 1/3 innings there that he provided. His last start against Detroit on the road, which, again, Detroit is not a great hitter's ballpark. 4 2/3 innings pitched, 11 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 home runs, and only 3 strikeouts. I'm with you on that. You see that 9.5, it's like, I got to get 10 runs, Donnie and Joe. How can you get that done? These aren't two pitchers heading in the right direction. These two teams can certainly light it up here. I like that Padres lineup now. Extra cork, extra pop there. And still Arizona on a night-to-night basis. Ketel Marte, hopefully he's back in the lineup today. We'll see. But that total as well, 9.5, I think it also goes over the total. So a couple games to take a look at here, some interesting options. It's nice, though. Major League Baseball over the past couple years, Joe, making it a point to say, we're not punting on Mondays anymore. Getaway game, 3 days, 3 games on a Monday. You got a pretty good slate that you can sink your teeth into, starting at 6:40, ending at 10:10 tonight. More Major League Baseball talk and handicaps on the early line. We'll be right back.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Yankees need a win in the worst way. One would have thought, Joe Ranieri, like, hey, you know what? We're going to head down to Miami. That's 2 or 3 games automatically. Maybe a sweep before we head over to Texas here, a team that's also fighting for a playoff spot, and away we go. Not the case. The New York Yankees get swept down on South Beach. Now they head to Texas to take on the Rangers. 2 lefties on the mound today, Joe. Max Fried for the New York Yankees and the Texas Rangers going to throw out there Patrick Corbin. 9:15, 9:16 on the rotation. 8:05 start tonight. 7.5 across the board as a total now, dropping down from 8 and a side that the New York Yankees overnight amount of minus 140 price, minus 138 to minus 145s here in the betting landscape. Is this a bounce back night for the Yankees with all this pressure of how bad they played? Or is it, oh no, we're on the road and we're tired in Texas? Might just beat us down too.
Listen, kudos to Patrick Corbin, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, this guy has completely reinvented himself. His last 5 starts, Donnie, a sub 2.50 ERA. He's racked up, 28 strikeouts over his last 27 innings pitched. I don't know if he found the fountain of youth or what's going on there, but kudos to him. Max Fried has been good. We know the problem with the blister, right? That was a kind of hit a snag. Yep. He's coming off an outing, Donnie, which he threw a season high 111 pitches here in this one. Yankees have hit lefties well, but the Yankees are not the same lineup without Judge in it. It's tough to want to get behind them. The bullpen is good. I think Texas has got a shot here early. I'd be willing to look at them in the first 5 at a pretty decent price, Donnie, to maybe, scratch out a run or two here against Fried. And I just can't trust this Yankees lineup against the lefty Corbin. Can't do it. The guy has been too good, and the Yankees have been that bad.
Yeah, because you look at it, too, that price point. And I understand, like, we always talk about, like, the Yankee tax. Like, Texas is a better team than they were just 2 to 3 weeks ago alone. But maybe it's just like, oh, Max Fried has been really good this season on the totality, and Patrick Corbin is always going to be Patrick Corbin. But if you look at the statistics, last 45 days to get a really good look, Patrick Corbin here is a 3.95 ERA and a 3.53 xFIP number. Very manageable. Really, as you said, rebuilt his season as being a quality starting pitcher. Max Fried, who was unbelievable, like shot out of a cannon this year for the Yankees. Hey, that was money really well spent. His last 45 days, 39 innings pitched, Joe, a 4.38 ERA and a 4.07 xFIP number. So I want to see where this line actually winds up when some handicappers get out there in the afternoon and the money starts to pile in, because I'm with you. Not just, hey, the Yankees didn't just sweep the Marlins. Like, yeah, they're on the road. They still should be favored. They were really bad. There's internal turmoil where some think the manager could be going at any point. And you're right, Max Fried, blister issues here, hasn't pitched all that well. Corbin resurgence, and they're getting money at basically a plus 120 across the sports books right now for Texas. Interesting one to keep an eye on. Let's keep it roughly in that same division.
I'll say this, though, Donnie, quickly.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Let me just say this. Max Fried, because of the 111 pitches he's coming at, I don't know what his outs prop is, but if it's 17 and a half, 16 and a half, with the bullpen that they have now, if any sign of trouble, Max Fried is out of there. So maybe under his outs prop as well is not a bad look.
It's all, yeah, you're right about that too, because of how they're playing out the season itself. If this was a normal August game, hey, Yankees are 6-4 in their last 10. Hey, Max, go out there, get stretched out. We'll see what we have. It almost feels like, and it's not like a playoff atmosphere against another team you might be fighting for the playoffs with. If Fried is struggling after 5 innings, like, hey, kid, you got to get out there and have at least 7 innings. Like, your bullpen is built now to win right now. Use them at this point here. Boston, on the other hand, built to win right now. They're winning baseball games. They're going to take on Kansas City today. Bello is going to be on the mound against Bailey Falter, man. You should get some runs today. 10s on the open market last night. They have dropped down to 9.5 right now, but still a favorite for Boston around that minus 160 price. Boston looking really good at the plate, on the mound. I like what I see here. Bello on the mound today. Should be able to pick up a victory. What are you thinking between them and the Kansas City Royals?
Don't sleep on the Royals here, guys. They have figured out how to hit again. They just took 2 out of 3 out of Toronto in Toronto, and they out-hit them in all of them, including against a couple of their better pitchers like Bassett yesterday. So a 7-4 extra inning win yesterday. I am with you. I don't see with these guys how we're not getting some runs. Having said that, I'm going to take Boston in the first 5 here, Donnie. I like their chances of having the lead, and then once the bullpen gets involved, I can't promise you anything from there.
You look at the Boston Red Sox lineup tonight, it's going to be chock full of right-handed batters. Why? Bailey Falter's a lefty here, and he really struggles, particularly the past 30 days, Joe, with right-handed batters. Those right-handed batters tonight, Refsnyder, Bregman, Gonzalez, Story, Narvaez, Cedane Rafaela. This team looks good. Weighted on base percentage. Vibes are high. Sometimes you just ride that streak. And Falter, he ain't stopping any streaks out here, Joe and Erie. Let the runs commence in Boston. We'll be right back into the early line.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who can help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a two-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in two-catcher leagues. But in a one-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
More baseball, more baseball, more baseball as we head to Citi Field. Losers yesterday were the New York Mets, and also, we'll say this every day, Joe Ranieri feels like, hey, look at that, today the Phillies are in first place. Tomorrow, the Mets probably back in first place. The Cleveland Guardians come to town. Cicconi's on the mound going up against Sean Manaea, the left-handed pitcher. 9:23, 9:24 on the rotation. The 7:10 start from Citi Field, and a heavy favorite overnight for the Mets, minus 225s. That is now shrinking. 178s, minus 187s, but still a heavy favorite towards the Mets. A total across the board listed at 8. Mets in a bounce-back spot tonight, but Cleveland still a little feisty out there, Joe, at the plate.
Yeah, they did, except that game yesterday against the Twins was kind of crazy. They scored 6 runs in the first inning, and then they struggled until late in the game, and they couldn't get anything going here. But you got to like the Mets' chances in a bounce-back spot at home. Don't like this Guardians team. Don't like the bullpen situation now for them either. I do think the Mets have the advantage. I can't lay the 1.5 with the Mets because, let's face it, we just can't trust them at this particular point. But I'd be willing to bet that if there are runs scored, they'll likely be playing from in front, that being the New York Mets. So I wouldn't mind laying the half a run with the Mets in the first 5 and giving Manaea a chance to shut this very weak Guardians lineup down.
Massive game here in the NL East. Why? Because if they win and the Phillies lose, the Mets could be back in first place. So that leads right into the Philadelphia Phillies at home once again tonight. And you don't have that stigma that we talk about, Joe. It's like, okay, Sunday night baseball team that goes on the road, stays on the road. Like the Phillies were home last night. They're home again tonight. That certainly helps. And it's a 6:45 game, not an early game. Povich, the lefty, be on the mound against Jose Luzardo. 9:21, 9:22 from Citizens Bank Ballpark. 6:45 tonight. Minus 190s overnight, Joe. They're rising now. We have minus 200s, minus 205s out here across multiple sports books, and a total that's listed between 9 and 8.5, depending on where you're shopping at. I know we're talking over the break here. You take a look at Jose Luzardo. Some unbelievable starts, some unbelievably bad starts. Jesus Luzardo, excuse me. Cade Povich on the mound, the lefty. He's just coming back saying, hey, guys, did you miss me here? I don't think they missed him at all, and I don't think the Phillies are going to miss too much of the plate tonight.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Luzardo is awful at Citizens Bank, isn't he? It seems like a lot of the times we've seen him get lit up, it's been in his own home ballpark here. You got to love offensively what you've seen from the Orioles lately. That lineup, swinging the bat, really really well. And by the way, they've actually, I think they're top 7 or 8 on base percentage here over the last month. So they got healthier. They're swinging the bat better. I saw Luzardo's outprop at 17.5. And would it shock you, Donnie, if Luzardo, I don't know, he goes 5 if we're lucky and the bullpen gets involved by the 6th inning? I'd be willing to go under. Can't trust Luzardo in this spot. And again, the fact that they just played last night, I'd be willing to bet against Luzardo going deep into this game.
There's a lot of really good betting statistics here on the batters on both of these teams, like the Phillies and the Orioles. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, it's a high total that it does go over. You just saw 2 teams in the Phillies and Detroit outside of last night, Friday night's game and Saturday night's game. Good starting pitching, good bullpens here. They put up a lot of runs in those first 2 games here. Just didn't get a lot of runs yesterday because Sanchez was phenomenal. Weather conditions in Philadelphia tonight, Jerry, you got to love it. 87 degrees, light wind blowing out to left field here. 2 teams with some power. Maybe we do get some runs in this environment. But Luzardo, looking certainly to be what Sanchez was last night, Christopher Sanchez. I don't know if he's going to live up to that, so that's why we have that higher total tonight. Let's keep it with the Houston Astros and the Miami Marlins. The Marlins, a fun team playing good baseball and sort of awakening here. Now, do we think they're going to make a run at the NL East? No, but they certainly can take some teams down with them, and particularly a team that's down right now. That's the Houston Astros. 9-19, 9-20 on the rotation, a 6:40 start tonight from Miami. Alexander versus Alcantara back in town because he wasn't traded, and Craig Mish let you in on that from the SportsGrid Network. A -130 favorite towards the Fish over Houston. Do the good vibes continue on South Beach?
Well, they will early and often, as far as I'm concerned. Let's not forget, Sandy Alcantara, who we all thought was going to be traded at the deadline, is still wearing a Miami uniform. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's allowed, I don't think he's allowed an earned run over his last 14 innings. And the Marlins ended up not making a deal because if he has finally gotten the rust off and he is back to being, the Alcantara we know, he is going to be worth a lot more money to Miami on the trade market at the end of the season here. So Jason Alexander going for Houston, 18 hits, 6 walks, and 13 2/3 innings here over the last couple of times. I like Miami. I like the bats to stay hot. I like them in the first 5, though, because we do know that Houston's got the much better bullpen in this spot. But I'll take a flyer with Alcantara. I think he has figured some stuff out. I like Miami in the first 5 here.
Yeah, also, you take a look at Alexander on the mound, right-handed pitcher, really struggles with lefty bats on the season, a 309 ISO against, a weighted on-base percentage of 444, a hard hit rate of 68%, and a barrel rate around 10%. There's a pretty good lefty in that lineup for the Miami Marlins. That's Kyle Stowers, 67 at-bats over his past month against right-handed pitching, Joe. How about a 552 ISO and a 579 weighted on-base percentage? Maybe a yard shot there from Kyle Stowers. Let's keep the teams moving here. Atlanta, fresh from the Speedway, back at home, taking on Milwaukee. Hot as you can get. Quinn Priester's on the mound. Many people, Quinn Priester, that guy's a terrible pitcher going up against Eric Fetty. Not so fast. We'll get into those details in just a few moments here. 9:03, 9:04 on the rotation, a 7:15 start. 8.5 at the opening number for the total overnight. We're now seeing 8s across the marketplace. A favorite here for Milwaukee, -135s overnight. That has risen. You see on the graphic right there, -142s as high as 150 in the marketplace. Why stop a good thing? The bats are hot here. Priester's a good pitcher. Should they roll over Atlanta in Atlanta tonight?
Yes. And the one thing that I can tell you, and having watched all of these games over the weekend with Milwaukee at Washington, is that they jump all over bad pitching early and often. This is a team that plays from in front. And if you're not a quality pitcher, they're going to make you pay early and often. They got a great game plan when they come to the batter's box. Eric Fetty, I think we can agree, Donnie, is not a great pitcher. In fact, there's a lot of different ways to approach this. I'm going to say go with one of my bets is the Brewers team total over in the first 5. I think it's 2.5. I think they score runs, and they're playing this game from in front as usual.
Like worlds collide here, right? Where you like to take a look at a pitcher and say, how can I fade this guy? The last 45 days in Major League Baseball for the starters tonight. Eric Fetty has the worst ERA of them all. 27 1/3 innings pitched. It's a 10.21. Also the worst xFIP of them all tonight, Joe, at a 5.95. Just danger territory all over the place. Now, as I started, you said, well, what about Quinn Priester? Like, he used to be a fade guy for me. Not anymore this year, Joe. Last 45 days for him, 39 2/3 innings pitched. How about an ERA of 2.95 and the second best xFIP on the card today at 2.79? The guy has been really good. So Atlanta, maybe their bats can wake up. But if you want to talk about bats waking up, we started the show talking about Milwaukee and how much they were hammering. Why not let the good times go tonight? And also in Atlanta, let me just do a quick peek here at the weather conditions, if I can get those. Rainy conditions tonight, which might put a damper on some things, but still, by the way, wow, how about this? Temperature 68 degrees in Atlanta tonight? I have to do some research, Joe. Who turned the heat off down there in the Big A? We always expect a beautiful night down there. Whoa.
Yeah, a little strange there, but I guess maybe they got that cold front coming over from Bristol Motor Speedway coming through town there. But either which way, I think this is another one of those one-sided affairs here tonight.
Yeah, no, we'll find out. Bad pitchers on the card tonight for me. Eric Fetty, Tanner Gordon of Colorado, always fun there. Travis Adams from Minnesota, Bailey Falter of the Pittsburgh Pirates, J.P. Sears changing teams here and now with the San Diego Padres. And also, am I seeing Verlander as well with another start tonight? And away we go. It's Major League Baseball season. At least it is for the month of August, as they are taking center stage before the NFL by the end of the week. Tom Vecchio joins us bright and early on a Monday. Some props of his prop perspective next.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who can help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a two-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in two-catcher leagues. But in a one-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, yeah, having some fun. Hour number 2, cruising through Major League Baseball. Time to get to some guests here. It's Donnie Rightside. I'm always a guest on this show. You know who else is a guest on this show all the time? It's Joe Ranieri. You know who we love to talk to? It's Tom Vecchio from a prop perspective early on a Monday morning. Tom, how are we feeling today?
I'm doing great. I want to say that we had a pretty good show yesterday on Pro Baseball Today. Royals came through with the win, nailed the LD Steal. Joe and I had a great time on IPL, get some in-game stuff, despite the fact that the Twins and Guardians, that game didn't have as many runs, despite we saw 6 runs in the first inning. I'm ready to roll for today.
Good times also. Tom's bombs and Donnie's dingers yesterday. Did pick up 2 of those, which was plus money. Tom had the big one there, but Schwarber, bottom of the 8th inning here, cashed in one for me. A lot of fun yesterday. I also had Christopher Sanchez to get the win yesterday in Philadelphia instead of paying a minus 190 price down to minus 110. So Tom and I had some fun yesterday on Pro Baseball Today. Check us out weekly, every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. right here on the Sports Grid Network. Before we get to some of your top props here, Tom, talk to me about the Yankees. You are a Yankee fan. They went down to South Beach. They got swept by the Marlins. They're taking on Texas tonight. What's the deal?
It's terrible. I mean, like when it rains, it pours, I guess. And what I said to Joe yesterday was between the pitching, the hitting, and the bullpen and the fielding, like you want whatever these factors, like they never get 3 or 4 of them in the same game. You know, it's Friday night. They got all the hitting, scored 10 runs, 12 runs, whatever it was. But then the fielding's terrible and the bullpen's terrible. Then on Saturday, okay, pitching, you only give up 2 runs, but then there's no hitting. And then et cetera, et cetera. Like they're never getting it all to fall into place at the same time. So that is very concerning where they sit right now in the standings, dropping back to 3rd and I believe the 2nd wild card with the Red Sox winning yesterday. So they need to right the ship and they need to do so quickly. And if they're going to make the playoffs and or have home field advantage once they get to the wild card round.
We laughed at that yesterday, but given the fact that Alcantara is the only guy making more than $3.5 million on a Miami roster, it's kind of laughable, Tom, the mistakes and what we're seeing from them. But you and I also watched that Atlanta and Cincinnati part 2 yesterday because neither team. They were supposed to have yesterday off, but the rain delay caused them to finish that game up yesterday. And you and I during the show were saying, let's take a look at what both these teams got going tomorrow. So what did we see for overnight lines in these games?
So I remember yesterday, I think the Cubs were at minus 154 yesterday. If I remember correctly, that's what it opened up at. And it's minus 138 now. So there's a little bit of movement, not in the direction I expected, partly because, Mike Soroka's on the mound for the Cubs. He's an okay pitcher when it's all said and done. Nick Lodolo's on the side for the Reds, and he's a good pitcher. So, I think we'd all agree the Cubs are by far the better team compared to the Reds, but the Reds are a good team overall, and I actually like to see some runs in this game. There's a little bit of wind blowing in today. It's not really that much of an issue for me. It's still in the upper 70s, so I like over 7.5, sitting at minus 120. Again, Soroka's a good pitcher. He's making his first start with the Cubs since being acquired from the Nats at the deadline, but we see power in the Reds' bats. We see power in the Cubs' bats, and 8 miles per hour wind is not going to shy me away from a 7.5, getting us to 8 runs overall, especially with what we know the lineups can do.
Couple big knocks yesterday for the Chicago Cubs, but also a team that's been red hot as of lately. That's the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going to be in the Big 8 tonight, and there should be a television show called Fading Eric Fetty because of how bad a baseball pitcher he is. Cooler temperatures in the Big 8 tonight. Yeah. Some rain in the forecast. I would have loved to see that bad boy 85 and 90. Joe and I just went over this game. I was shocked to see those temperatures that low today. But the one thing that could heat things up is Eric Fetty on the mound. What are we looking at from the Brew Crew tonight?
We should be looking at more runs early, more runs in the middle of the game, more runs late because the Braves bullpen is terrible. Eric Fetty is terrible, as Donnie, we have discussed plenty of times on Pro Baseball Today. Eric Fetty was DFA'd a couple of weeks ago by the Cardinals because he is so bad. And the Brewers are arguably the hottest offense in the league right now. Granted, they just played the Nats and they poured in 1 million runs over the weekend. But let's turn to Christian Yelich, getting him a minus 110 for 2+ total bases. I think this is an extremely fair line. He's obviously swinging a fantastic bat going up against Fetty. If we look at Fetty's numbers specifically versus lefties, over a 200 ISO allowed. This is fantastic for Yelich. Yes, the rain does present a little bit of an issue, whether it's delayed, but still the Braves bullpen has been terrible all season. So even if Fetty starts and then there's a delay and he doesn't come back, we're still getting exposure to the Braves bullpen, which is horrible. So give me Yelich going for 2+ total bases and the Brewers score a ton of runs tonight.
All right.
I like this here. We also learned together yesterday, Tom, about the Mizorowski going to the IL, and then we watched Logan Henderson step in like there was no big deal here. But things have changed when it comes to the Rookie of the Year now. Instead of him in the National League, Mizorowski, we've got Drake Baldwin at the top here. He's only expecting to miss 2 starts here. Are we getting a big break here on Mizorowski as the Rookie of the Year?
I think so. And I think it comes down to the fact that I just don't like that Baldwin number. Like Baldwin's had a good year, there's no doubt about it. But he's splitting time with Sean Murphy. If we look at it, he's got a 128 WRC plus. He has a 2 WAR at least over on Fangraphs. If you look at Collins had a 126 WRC plus. He has a 2.3 WAR. And this is not to say that Ramirez isn't also in the mix, because Ramirez is going to have more home runs than either of them. It doesn't have as high as a batting average. His defensive WAR isn't as good, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the price on Baldwin is just a bit too much. He's having a good season, but it's not great. So if Mizorowski comes back and he goes 6 innings and has 10 strikeouts, as we know he can do, that number, is that 15-1 that I saw? That's going to plummet down to, it's going to be cut in half. Right. So I think there's a time to take a position on basically anyone other than Baldwin. And this isn't, not some slight to Baldwin, but I just think the number's wrong. If you told me Ramirez was at 10-1 or Collins was at 10, I'd be interested in all of those ahead of Baldwin.
All it takes is 1 week out of these rookies, a really good week, a really bad week, and those numbers certainly going to change. You take a look at the AL MVP marketplace now. We used to talk so many times, Tom, last 2 weeks, like, hey, man, Aaron Judge now an underdog to win this. He's back to a favorite at a minus 210 price. In the National League, look at Schwarber starting to storm the fort under 10-1 now. Give me a little bit of a taste there, the AL and National League MVP here.
Well, when it comes to the NL, like I want to see a hitter do everything better compared to Shohei, just to give us the argument where if you have someone at a higher batting average, more home runs, more RBIs, he has to be in the conversation. And then for the AL, Cal Raleigh's cooled off a little bit. And I think that's why the number is changing to see Judge back to being the favorite.
There we go. Tom Vecchio, bright and early with us on the early line on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM channel 159. You can catch them all over the airwaves, which include with me on Sunday mornings here, Pro Baseball Today. We'll be back to close it down next, right here on the early line.
Joaquin Niemann wins for the 5th time on the LIV Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry's our guy who sends me LIV stats every week.
I love that you get LIV stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey come off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kamon Looney off the bench. So to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great, because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY is going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? I don't remember that one, JY.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets, I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's time to close it down on a Monday. So much fun had over the past 2 hours, Joe Ranieri. Like, might as well go for another hour, 2 hours. You never know. You'll see us around the networks here, certainly doing that. But how did you feel about today? Was the energy good enough for you? Does it feel like we're propelling the people in the audience into their Sports Weekly right here at the Grid?
Absolutely. We're getting excited here, Donnie. And we've actually a pretty profitable week last week here on the show. And we're looking to kick it off again with a couple of winners here.
Yeah, Joe was on fire last week. And again, I had to at least join the party on Friday, which we did, hit a double banger. Maybe we can get back into that today. We'll take a look at those picks in just a few moments. But how about this, Joe? We got Thursday night football games. We got Friday night football games. We got Saturday. Your teams are going to be in play. And as I look at right now, it's August 4th. Correct me if I'm wrong. September 4th, opening kickoff in the NFL, 30 days away. Gotta love that.
Yeah, and before that, you got some college football that'll take center stage the week prior. So the countdown has begun, Donnie. The way I see it, T-minus 3 weeks and counting. Let's until football is a big part of our lives once again.
Gotta love it. And you know what else is a big part of our lives here to end the show? It's bye, 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 people. Looks like a tag team match tonight. It's what I'm feeling. I think we're not going to be wrong tonight. I think we're just going with the gut feeling of this pitcher stinks. This team is good. Let's ride that wave here. So I'm going to let you go first, Joe Ranieri. Where are we headed tonight on the Major League Baseball WNBA card? I don't know what's out there. What do you got for a best bet?
Let's keep it simple here, Donnie. If it ain't broke, let's not fix it. And right now, the Milwaukee Brewers are not broke, coming out of a unbelievable weekend against the Nats, who have very suspect pitching, to say the least. And it doesn't matter because it felt like they were scoring multiple touchdowns every game against that pitching staff. Well, they get to go to Atlanta here tonight, who, again, was supposed to have a day off yesterday and didn't, so kind of messed them up a little bit. And now they got to come home and throw Eric Fetty out against the hottest hitting team in Major League Baseball and the Brewers. Quinn Priester, by the way, unbelievable what this kid has done. Another young pitcher for the, I don't know where they're getting him out, but absolutely unbelievable. 9-2, 2.57 ERA in his last 15 outings. The advantage they have in the starting pitching in this game can't go unnoticed. I'm going to back the Brewers early here. I think that's a very reasonable price for a team that's got the better pitcher and the better lineup in a better spot at minus 135. I'll take the Brewers. I'll even lay the half a run as well at even money here. I think the Brewers play from in front.
Tag me in, Joe, because we're doing it all with the Brew Crew today. I'm going to back you up there. I'm just going to go money line 9 innings. Give me 9 innings. Better team's going to win this game. Even if we have cooler temperatures in the Big A, this team is better than the Atlanta squad. I have the better pitcher. Who knows about the lineup? Who's going to be hitting? Who's even going to be in the lineup for the Atlanta Braves? Give me the team that's going to be in a pennant race. That's not the Braves. That's the Milwaukee Brewers. If you look at Eric Fetty's last 30 days in Major League Baseball, 66 batters faced, a 316 ISO against. A good one for a pitcher is like 140. He's at 316. How about a weighted on-base percentage of 462? A good one for a pitcher, 320 or less. He's at 462. Barrel rates are up. He should get hit tonight. It's still not a great-looking lineup for the Brewers, but for somehow they've been waking up over the past 2 weeks right now, and I believe they wake up again tonight. They should get runs regardless of the rain. Doesn't matter. And even if it does rain, all right, so they'll probably just keep Fetty out there, and if maybe, Priester doesn't go that long, still better bullpen on the side for the Brewers anyway if it gets into a bullpen game. And also, you stretched that bullpen out yesterday on the road in that Speedway game for Atlanta from Saturday into Sunday. It was basically a bullpen game on Sunday afternoon. So a lot of advantages here for the Brewers as we await this week. But it's always nice to get the week started off in style. I feel like we are. We're not pressing here. We had a couple nice wins on Friday. It's a Monday, and the people should be happy about that. And we should be able to profit for the people on those Brewers tonight, Joe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's certainly the matchup that we feel there's a big advantage on the card here tonight for. I'm not stepping in front of the Brewers right now. That lineup is good, and they are locked in, and they have already shown inferior pitching gets lit up here, and I think Fetty gets that today.
By the way, it is a Monday, right? And yes, there is a Major League Baseball schedule. There's no real football on until the end of the week. And then certainly, we see the preseason and away we go. The WNBA, no scheduled games tonight. Like, who's making the rules for them? Like, shouldn't you just be eyeing up Monday nights in the summer to sort of rule the roost here? Why are you playing on so many games on Sundays? What are we doing, Joe?
Yeah, I know. Like, what is happening? But again, Donnie, we only have to deal with this for a little while longer. And then we are going to be good to go.
We're out of here. We're good to go in the early line for Joe Ranieri and Dr. Red Section. Right early. Right back on the grid tomorrow morning. See you then.